We live.
Happy Sunday, everybody. It is last call here on WagerTalk. I'm the prep queen, Ariel Epstein. You know that this is the show that we bring you all the info. You find out where the sharps are going with Gianni the Greek. Then we find out the needs from over at the Superbook at the Westgate in Las Vegas from our good friend John Murray. What does the Sportsbook need? Do you want to be on their side? And then we've got Jesse Schule who's going to answer all your questions and break down what he feels are the best sides of the day. At the end of the show, I'll definitely give you guys some props that I had stand out, and I gave them out earlier this week on social media to try to beat some lines. Of course, some move in your favor, some stay the same, and you get ahead of some of them. I know that we all feel that we need to get ahead of these lines. Yes, my Ravens, Tyrone, are playing the Steelers today, so I'm going to bring my dog to the dog park right after the show ends in about 45 minutes, and then be home in time for 1 o'clock so that she's tired and I can be in the zone. Granted, I am officially anti-wearing Ravens gear until they prove otherwise, because if they continue to play as sloppy as they have, I'm not repping them. I'll support them, I'll watch them, I'll cheer for them, I won't bet on them, and I certainly will not be repping the gear until they play like a normal Super Bowl caliber football team. The NFL is wide open. Everybody has a chance. The AFC is so weak, but let's bring on one of our strongest. Yanni the Greek from over in Las Vegas. Everyone get your Odds Logic screen up, oddslogic.com/prop queen. Follow along with the line moves. The Phillies hat is in action for Yanni today. Greek_gambler. How are you, Yanni?
Never better, never better. Just a long weekend, but really turned out great for us. So
how was UFC last night?
Amazing. Ended up hitting a 5% at plus 200 and gave them out at a prop at plus 500. It was just one of those days. Everything just went right. College football was good. College basketball was good. It's been a really good 7 days. Like picked up over 70 units in the last 70 days. So just running really hot.
I love to hear that. We've got to keep it going for Sunday today. It's week 14 of the NFL season already. We've got some sides, totals. I'm sure that you've seen some steam come in on. I guess let's start with one of the big games of the day. Selfishly, I'm very curious your thoughts on this Ravens-Steelers game.
All right. I haven't seen anything sharp on that game, like any steam in any of the accounts so far. It's good two-way action, which isn't really the case usually. When you have a touchdown favorite, they're usually going to be in the 70-30 range as far as ticket split and money split, but that's just not the case. Just not confidence, I guess, from the bettors in Baltimore laying that many points. Open 6.5. That was a look ahead. Went as low as 5.5. Now back to 6. But like I said, just seeing two-way action there. Even the total dipped a half a point down. Now back to 43. So just one of those games where it's better to just book it. Collecting all that vig without much risk. Gun the head, I'd probably lay the points with the Ravens. And I'd lean over as well. I think it's an over adjustment to the total. Got to remember, the look ahead on the total is about 47.5, 48. It's since been adjusted 5 points. I think that's a little bit too significant. The only way you could bet that game now is over or leave it alone. The under's already been adjusted. So for me, I like Ravens and over in that game, but not a matchup that I have any risk on at all.
Confusing to talk about another team in the AFC North. The Cincinnati Bengals coming off that Thanksgiving win in Baltimore. Huge for the first game back. Joe Burrow under center, turf toe injury. But now they have to head to cold Buffalo, where the Bills, they were minus 5.5. Current live line, I'm seeing still 5.5. Total has gone up even from 52.5 to 54.5. How do you see that one playing out?
Yeah, another game where you're getting two-way action, but the wise guys did take a position here. They took Buffalo as soon as the line went up at minus 5.5. So the sharps are on Buffalo. They like them here at home. Buffalo just hasn't been consistent. It's a team that's alternated wins and losses over the last 4. In fact, they've done so over the last 6. Like I say, when in doubt, zoom out. And when you zoom out with this team, you look over their last 8, they're 4-4. So, I mean, they've been a 500 football team since late September, early October. And I don't think there's much confidence there from the public. Usually Buffalo is one of them teams that gets money every single week. But that's just not the case. In fact, I'm seeing a little more money right now on Cincinnati. Now, obviously, there's going to be a lot of money line parlays and teasers with Buffalo to offset that. But as far as straight bets go, they're taking the points with Buffalo, and I think that's a bad move. I think this is a good spot for a Buffalo team that has something to play for. strong home field advantage. They won 5 of 6 games compared to only being a 500 team on the road. So they have a very good, strong home field advantage. And Cincinnati really has nothing to play for. Their big game was last week, divisional rival at Baltimore, 7-point dogs. They won by 20 points almost. This has letdown written all over it. In the cold, on the road, at Buffalo. And Buffalo's got New England on deck. I don't think they get caught looking ahead. This is a game they got to win, beat Cincinnati, and then worry about New England when they're 9-4. So I think Buffalo cruises easily, wins by double digits.
Especially at home, Buffalo and Josh Allen, their quarterback play much better when you look at the home road splits.
Yep.
The question in the group chat from Hot Kebab said, thoughts on Jags Colts? That one's a short spread too at 1.5.
Oh, I think, let me see. Let me just make sure. Actually, I have a position.
I feel like that one's such a hard one to figure out just because short spread, 1.5. Colts have had a hot start to the season, kind of coming back to life. Daniel Jones has that fibula injury. The Jags are the home team. It's a tough one.
It's the offense for Indianapolis that keeps them viable. I mean, they're a top 5 offense. Now, they've had a weak strength of schedule, bottom 6 in the league. So they had an easy strength of schedule, which worries me. You should have a much better defense when your schedule is that weak on the Indianapolis side. But luckily for them, they're going up against a Jacksonville team that's mid-tier offensively. So that defense is going to have an easier go of it this week. That's why I actually have a position on Indianapolis. I have Indianapolis on the money line at -120, I think. They're -1 now, -1.5. I think Indianapolis, again, they're on the road. That's why I see the money coming in on Jacksonville. I disagree. I think Indianapolis is the better team. These are 2 8-4 teams, but I think they're different 8-4 teams. And with Jacksonville, you're getting them at their highest point, meaning their stocks at their highest. They're coming in off 3 straight wins, 3 straight covers. They just blew out Tennessee by 20 plus points as only 6-point favorites. I just think this line should be closer to Indianapolis -3. So it should be about a field goal road favorite, believe it or not. And getting them at a pick 'em more or less, I think, is a gift. Win or lose, I think I placed a decent bet. I'm comfortable with Indianapolis on the road here.
Vikings, that one, they're getting their quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, back. Washington, I think, is getting Jaden Daniels back. So that's why you've seen the line flip from Minnesota -1.5 to now Vikings catching +1.5 at home, total 43.5. Yanni, these games when you've got quarterbacks in and out because of injury, it makes it a lot tougher. Technically, I guess we could say equal playing field because of the quarterback injuries, getting them both back. How would you play this one, and did the line flip play it role in the way that you bet it?
Yeah, the wise guys are on Washington. They took them at +3. They took them at +2.5, like you said, and the lines flip. Okay, they placed a good bet. If you got Washington +3 in your pocket, good job. You did your job. Win or lose, you did your job. Now where it sits, I think you got to look at the other side. For me, it's Minnesota or pass right now, because here's what you got to remember. The comparison has to be from the starter to the drop-off, or the drop-off back to the starter. And with Mariota, he's a seasoned quarterback. If you look at his passer rating over the last 3 games, only once has it been below 85. Once it was over 130. So he's played well. And what's the increase? Like it's all the narrative, and it's all in speculation that Jaden Daniels is going to be an upgrade. Maybe the past Daniels, but I don't know about the 2025 version of Daniels. Is he going to be an improvement on Mariota? You have to go out there and do that first. I haven't seen it. So for me, I actually think now you're getting the value on Minnesota. And the only reason, Washington is the favorite is because of the overreaction to Jaden Daniels. Dude, they're on the road. They're a team that's won 1 of 6 games on the road. What business do you have being a road favorite? Like, I could see if you're a 500 team even on the road, but you're 1-5, bro. You've won a single road game. What business do you have being a favorite? Not even a half-point favorite should you be. It makes no sense. It's dog or pass.
Another question in the chat. They want to know about this Titans and Browns game, because I actually saw a really funny tweet that said the game should be flexed to 8 a.m. Eastern time, because this game could be so low scoring and so boring, like a European game. Tennessee Brownies, what you got?
Dude, again, what business does Cleveland have being any kind of significant favorite? And once you're up over a field goal in the NFL, where the cliche any given Sunday is actually true, It makes no sense. And why people are excited to bet Cleveland, to me, is even more confusing. I'm a little, happy to see that the market kind of moved it back down, because when I saw it go from 3.5 to 4, I'm like, what are they doing? Like, when you walk into a sports book, okay, let's pretend you're walking into a casino, you walked into the sports book, you look up on the board, they have college basketball, they have NBA, they have NHL, they have everything, they have soccer, everything. And the best thing you could come up with is I'm going to risk my money on the Cleveland Browns as more than field goal favorites. Like, that's the best bet I could come up with. There's 600 options up there, but you know what? I'm going to risk it with the Brownies because, hey, they've just had such a good year, and I think they're going to win as favorites. That's just ridiculous. Even if Browns go out there and win by 75 points, it's stupid. Go put it on a roulette color on a number. You got a better shot. To me, that's a waste of money. You got a Cleveland team that's won 3 games in their last 7. They've covered 4 in their last 7. That's it. Every one of those games that they covered, they were underdogs, except for 1. That was it. Like, this isn't a team that you should be confident laying points with. So again, if you have Cleveland laying points, I hope they get it for you, because I haven't touched that game. But for me, it's Tennessee or pass. I get it. Tennessee's nothing to be excited about either. But fuck, they're 2 bad teams. Take the points.
Jesus, the chat, all they want to know about are these terrible games. Now we get a lot of questions on the Jets and the Dolphins. The Jets, the narrative this week, fade the Jets because they won last week. How much do you believe that narrative?
I don't, because listen, that makes no sense. They're a 3-win football team. So it's like, why was the 3rd win something you're going to fade? It doesn't make any sense. Like, where's the trend there? When they won their first game, they were supposed to have a letdown, and instead they came back and won the very next week as underdogs. So no, that's just ridiculous. But you now have a Jets team that's won 5 in a row, meaning covering against the spread in the world I live in. And 3 of those 5 games they won outright as underdogs. So, of course, the market's going to start to correct itself, and that's what's happening here. Jets have no business being less than a field goal favorite to Miami, and that's why the Sharps laid the 2.5 with the Dolphins. I don't love it because, Dolphins, again, not a team that I have a lot of faith with, especially on the road. They've, again, another team that's won 1 of 5 road games. Don't have much confidence on them as road favorites. They're below 500 overall. They're better at home than the road. We know that. On the flip side, Jets are better at home than on the roads. Like, there's no real reason to lay Miami other than piggybacking the wise guys. They're on them. So, if you do that, I guess. But in a game I'm going to get involved in. If anything, I'm going to look to tease the Jets up. If that line stays the same, total 41, get them up to 8.5. It's a beautiful bet. Win or lose. Those are the kind of teasers I live for.
What other teaser leg would you pair that with?
I would pair with either with Jacksonville, even though I have a bet on Indianapolis. See, my teasers are irrelevant in my opinion. I don't care what bets I have. When a teaser, the only reason I'm using a teaser is because I know if I could bypass the numbers 3, 6, and 7 and not lay more than 125, I am guaranteed to have placed a plus EV bet. That where I'm now the house. I now have the best of it, and there's nothing they can do about it but raise the VIG so that I'm no longer in that position. But luckily, I still have a book that actually gives me minus 110 on 6-point teasers. Thank you, Kelly in Vegas, for the connection. So they're still out there, guys. They're still out there. You can still lay minus 110 and get about a 3% edge. That's almost 2x what the MIT card counting group had. They made movies about them, wrote books about them. We're still talking about them 30 years later. So you can have that exact same edge if you just tease the same numbers, 3, 6, and 7. Don't lay minus 125 or better. And right now, the teams that are offering that to you are the Jets, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Denver, and the Chargers. You have like 5 teasable teams right there. If you can't place plus EV teasers today, you're doing it wrong. Like, if you can't place a bunch of good bets today with teasers, I promise you, reinvest into your thesis because you're doing it wrong. No disrespect, but there's nothing but plus EV opportunities on the board for us today, fellas. Nothing but 2.5s, 8s. Those are the numbers we want. 1.5s. That's stealing in the NFL.
Oh boy, you are making me have to go to the window and bet some more teasers. That's great. We've got to set ourselves up for a really good position for tonight, because tonight we do have a good game. Houston Texans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs. You tell me what your sharp groups were doing, because I saw this line move 4.5 to 3.5 Kansas City. And I mean, listen, Houston's got their quarterback, CJ Stroud, back. Kansas City is hanging on by a thread to make the playoffs. What were the groups doing on this one?
Yeah, and great game. I don't want to paint myself into a corner because, again, not the tout, but as the guys have been following me know, the primetime games, I've just been on fire. Like the Sunday night, I think I'm now like 8 straight where we've hit the side and total. So like 5 straight weeks of like side and total, side and total, side and total. Based on how they adjust the lines later off overly results tells you a lot about the risk, which you're able to figure a lot of things out. No handicap needed when it comes to prime time. So I'm going to wait before I release a play, but here's what's sticking out to me. I can tell you for certainty, wise guys are on Kansas City. They laid the 3 with Kansas City, and I'm going to tell you why. Because even though Kansas City is, what are they right now? Are they barely a 500 football team? Okay. Power rating wise, power rating, Kansas City is still a top 5 team. Let me repeat that. Kansas City at 6-6 would still be favored over at least 25 of the NFL teams, if not a few more of those, maybe 26, 27. They would be favored over all those teams. So again, what's on paper and what they do on the field sometimes are 2 different things. But as a sports bettor, all you can do is determine what you project's going to happen based off what you have in front of you on paper. That's all we have to go for. We don't know if they're going to wake up with a headache, if they got in an argument with their girlfriend last night. Like that shit we have no idea about. But we have data in front of us. And the data tells us Kansas City power rating wise on paper should still be favored over 25 plus NFL teams. That's why you're looking at them as more than a field goal favorite against Houston, which again, you don't get rich fading Houston. They've been a profitable football team, more or less, even respectable on the road, a 500 team, where with the Chiefs, though, look at their splits. They've been so dominant. This is the kind of home field advantage you want to look for, okay? If a team's 10-0 at home, 10-0 on the road, they have no home field advantage at all. They do just as good at home as on the road. Who cares where they're playing? But when a team's 1-5 at home, 5-1 at home, like Kansas City, 1-5 on the road, that's a strong home field advantage. That means this team needs to play at home this year. Their strength, their point differential comes at home. That's where they're playing tonight. That's where they're playing. So everything points to Kansas City, and they know Stroud's back. You have Houston's coming in off big wins. They beat Buffalo. They beat Indianapolis. They won 4 straight. They've covered 3 of 4. I think they're setting themselves up for walk into Kansas City and Mahomes highlight reel tonight. Not sure if I'm going to be on it, but I do lean that way. I think Kansas City's the right side tonight. I think the overreaction to Stroud isn't warranted. And I just don't like that it's 4. I wish I would have got down at -3. Then I'd be happy. My job's done. But at 4, I gotta think a little deeper. Because again, is that the best bet to place at that time? We'll see. But I like KC myself.
I know I asked you about a ton of questions on the board, but we've got a couple of minutes. What have we missed? Where are the sharps going today? Where do you see this team? Go for it.
All right, here's some of the sharp stuff that we didn't discuss. We talked about Miami. We talked about Washington. We talked about Kansas City. We talked about Buffalo. Green Bay. Another sharp play today. You saw them open about 5.5. They're up to a touchdown at my sharpest shops. Square shops probably still 6.5. Why? Because the recreational bettors are taking Chicago. Why? Because they just saw them beat the Eagles as 7-point underdogs on national TV. That they're going to remember what they saw last. And Chicago gives them a good feeling, good taste in their tummy, because Chicago's gotten them the money over the last couple of weeks. In fact, Chicago's now won 5 straight games. They covered 3 straight, and they don't have the confidence in Green Bay. But while Chicago was beating up Philadelphia, and that's what everyone remembers, 2 days before that, Green Bay went into Detroit and slapped them around on Thanksgiving Day. And that was overlooked by what happened on Friday with the Eagles and Chicago. Don't overlook that. Green Bay's a team not getting all that much respect. Why? Because no one's made money with them. They've won 8 of 12 games, 8-3-1, but they're 2 games below 500 against the spread. So people have lost back in the Packers. This is a good spot for them. This is a big game for them. I don't think they're going to have any problem with Chicago. It's a team they've owned. In fact, prior to Chicago beating them last January, they had lost how many in a row to Green Bay? 9, 10, 11, 12. Green Bay's owned them and covered against them. Green Bay's covered 8 of the last 10. They have Chicago's number. They show up today. They beat them by 2 touchdowns plus. Like I said in Bet on It, don't bother teasing Chicago. They're going to find themselves behind in this game, and Green Bay cruises on to a victory. I like the Packers a lot. I think Chicago's really, no disrespect. I have no bias. I could care less. I'm a fan of no team. But here's the difference. Green Bay really is a top 10 power rated team. I have them about number 7 right now. Chicago at 9-3 is barely cracked my top 20. In fact, just last week when they beat the Eagles, they're now in my top 20. But just to put it in perspective for you, I would make on my power ratings, the sportsbook wouldn't. The sportsbooks would make Arizona favorite, but I would actually make 3-9 Arizona a favorite over Chicago on a neutral field. That much I'm telling you. The books wouldn't do that. They would bring out Chicago as the favorite, and the public would bet the Chicago, and the wise guys would come in and scoop up all the value in Arizona. That's how that would play out. But Arizona, 6-6 Dallas, 7-5 Tampa Bay, 6-6 Baltimore, 6-6 Kansas City. All those teams would be favored over the 8-4 Chicago Bears. And the reason for that is very simple. They've had one of the easiest strength of schedule. In fact, only 3 teams had an easier strength of schedule this year than the Chicago Bears. And even with that easy schedule, they're barely a top 25 defense and they're barely a top 20 offense. So you've had the easiest strength of schedule and you're only in the barely in the top 20 in data. Yeah, they're as phony as a $3 bill. The wheels will fall off for Chicago eventually. It's just a matter of time. Told you about them in college football, about the phonies. We saw the wheels fall off eventually, like they did for Texas A&M, like they did for Georgia Tech's, like they did for BYU's. Same thing's going to happen in Chicago. Power ratings don't lie. They don't have an opinion. They don't care. They don't watch the games. They strictly go off numbers, and numbers just don't lie.
Yanni, I know that you've got the Steam Room coming up at the top of the hour, noon Eastern, for anybody that missed any games. He goes through every single game on the board before we hit kickoff at 1 p.m. Eastern. What else are you promoting today, Yanni?
Yeah, I'm not even going to fire. My 5% this week was so strong. I said it. When I make a cash bet, I swear, I don't remember the last time I've lost a big cash bet. I know I have. But when I say I'm going to go to the window because I want to get paid when this is over, I'm very confident. And that 5%, even though it was a plus 200, was so strong. I told Johnny, I'm not releasing a 5% in college football or NFL this week, even though they're warranted. I have a couple plays today that actually warrant a 5% move, but I don't need to do it because that plus 200 was that strong. So I have all 4% are going in that package. Already 4 of them. A couple more will come in there. The Steam Room starting at noon. We'll go over all the NFL games. I'll put them plus EV teasers in your pocket as well. Some player props that pop up, any live bets, NBA, college basketball, NHL, all that good stuff. Meet me in the Steam Room in about 40 minutes. We'll make you some money today. Just stay with the bet size. Just don't raise your bet size. I'm going to keep winning more than I'm losing, but we will have some bad days. So I never want you to overbet our edge. Bet size correctly, and we're going to keep making money. That's the best I could do for you.
It's all about the long game. Yanni the Greek, thank you as always for joining us. Greek_Gambler, and check him out at the Steam Room, top of the hour, noon Eastern. See you next week.
You.
Coming up now, we've got the needs of the day. The group chat probably mad because they know 11:20 a.m. Eastern time is when the needs come in, and we went a little long with Yanni there. John Murray, thank you so much for waiting in the waiting room. You shouldn't ever be waiting. You are the king, right, JM?
How you doing today, kid? What's going on?
I'm
great. Are you ready for what week is this? 14?
14.
Oh my God.
It's crazy.
It's just never gonna end, huh? Are you excited about the Ravens game today?
No.
Why not? Why?
Well, I'm excited I'm not there because that was just miserable. But I'm not going to rep them. I'm going to wear this sweater. It's a neutral sweater. It's just comfy. I'm not wearing gear until they stop playing like a bunch of morons.
Do you think that, because I heard the previous segment, Do you think that Yanni is taking a gamble there, talking all that smack about the Bears? The Chicago Bears fans, if you talk badly about their team, it's like you said something bad about like their mother or their dog. They act like it's like a personal attack against
Well,
them.
Philly was being
So
absolutely murdered by Patriots fans too earlier this month.
why? What did she say about the Patriots?
That they were frauds.
I think one mistake I see people make in the NFL is like they just decide that a team is not good and they just go against them over and over again and they just keep losing. And I've seen people doing that with the Patriots and the Bears this season. The Bears are well coached, so are the Patriots. They're winning a lot of close games. I don't know.
Well, we've
I'm not
got
sure
two
I agree
games
with them.
too today that are really bad. I'm sure you're going to really be watching the Titans and Browns game. Is that going to be number one on your TV?
I can't imagine myself watching any of the games, honestly. Like I like to be totally honest with you. I don't think I'll watch. Like I'll go out on the floor and I'll talk to the customers and the games will be on. But as far as like actually sitting down and watching, I won't watch any of the games.
You're a hardworking man. You have to be on your feet. You got to be running
Yeah.
around, making sure people aren't lighting fires at the Westgate Superbook. We
The,
understand.
I think the Titans Browns game has been more
that
been
has
more
to
well.
be a need. Is it a need?
Well, there's money both ways. We took some pretty big bets on the Titans money line at plus 175, and we took some money on the Titans plus 4. We need Cleveland for a peanut right now. Can you believe that? We need the Browns against the Titans. I think we've been rooting for the
Is
Titans
that like a
every
big
week.
need or a small need?
It's a small need. It's just
Okay.
a regular sized need. I think the big ones for us are going to be the Raiders. I almost said
Oh.
Oakland. That little hesitation there was me almost saying Oakland. I think we'll need the Las Vegas Raiders.
Is that a bias though because you're there?
No, it's just because I'm not allowed to say this, but the Raiders the Raiders aren't very good. So
Well,
they've
people
been
see that last game was 10-7, but that was a Thursday night football game, short week, divisional rival. That's a tough one to compare to.
Yeah.
But I know they're in Las Vegas. I just always wonder how much that bias of the Vegas bias that everyone's in Vegas and they'll just take points with Vegas because of like here in the East Coast, in New York, it's always very Yankees, Mets, Giants bias.
Mm-hmm.
Philly bias. You're going to get the biases in the states that you're in. Uh-oh. We lost John Murray.
God damn it.
They shut you off. See, you weren't allowed to say it. He wasn't allowed to say that Vegas is bad. Now we lost John. Oh, no. And he loves ref ball. That's what he said at the bottom. Okay, well, let me know if John Murray is back or not. But he definitely got taken off air because he's not allowed to say the Raiders are bad. So far, he said small need for Cleveland. They need the Raiders.
Sorry.
There he is. Now we're back. What a champion.
Sorry, technical difficulties. No, we don't see that here as much. I know what you're talking about. We see that with the Golden Knights sometimes, the Vegas Golden Knights in the NHL, but not so. The Raiders are. I don't want to say the Raiders aren't popular here because that's not true. They are, but the Raiders are still more of LA's team. They're still more of Oakland's team. And when you go to a Raiders game here in Las Vegas, I've been to a few. It's usually the opposing fans that are the presence. I went to
they just want an excuse to go to Vegas.
I went to the Cowboys Raiders game maybe 3 weeks ago on Monday night, and it was like 80% Dallas fans. So I don't see that here. If the Raiders are not good, which they're not this year, we'll need them every week. We needed them big last week. We needed them big the week before. We're going to need them big this afternoon. Teasers going to Denver. Moneyline parlays going to Denver. If the Raiders could somehow win, I think that would be our best game of the day. If the Raiders could somehow win this game, that seems like a lot to ask, kid. I mean, come on.
Yeah, that's a lot to ask.
It's a lot to ask, but
that's a tough one. I'm sure Buckeye Joe is going to love that we have to root for the Raiders. What else are they doing today?
Well, you don't have to do anything. Buckeye Joe or Kelly, they could go for a walk, maybe have a picnic. They don't have to.
It's raining there.
Oh, is it? Okay, maybe a picnic's not a good idea. I think we're going to need Houston tonight. I think on Sunday Night Football, I already see a lot of money going to Kansas City. In the morning, we're going to need the Bengals Buffalo is a team, because they've got that high-powered offense, because they have Josh Allen. The public basically bets them every week. Buffalo is a very popular team because they're so high scoring. I get it. We'll need the Bengals. We need Minnesota. There's a lot of money that came in on Washington during the week, I guess because because Jaden Daniels is playing. That's
Okay.
why. And because the quarterback situation in Minnesota, their quarterback, I think, calls himself 9. He's not very good, right? So there's a it doesn't matter. Whoever they play at quarterback is no good. So I think that's why you saw money on Washington. We need the Vikings in that game.
Okay, Raiders, Houston, Bengals, Minnesota, small need on Cleveland. What about some totals?
Totals, we need the under in the that's actually interesting. We need the under in the Cleveland game. They bet the Cleveland game over. That's a little bit unusual. I think I've said on the show before or other shows that we've done together, they usually like to bet those super low totals under. And that total right now is at 33. You don't see NFL totals that low.
No.
33 is the total. We'll need it under. We actually need your game to go over. We've taken a decent amount of money on the under in the Pittsburgh-Baltimore game. Does Pittsburgh have a quarterback that's capable of completing a forward pass?
Against the Ravens defense, anything's possible.
Yeah. So I think there's obviously something wrong with Lamar Jackson.
Me too.
I think we saw that on Thanksgiving night. There's
he didn't practice on Thursday, which is weird.
There's something wrong there. There's some kind of an injury there. We'll need that game. There's a lot of sharp money on Pittsburgh, by the way. Pittsburgh, they just keep betting them at 6.5 and 6. We're down to 5.5 in that game. I think Pittsburgh is one of the.
I mean, it was a pretty large spread for a rivalry that no matter who the quarterback is, it's always a 1-point game. Like the average point differential in this series between Harbaugh and Tomlin is 1.5 points.
What do you think of Harbaugh? Are you sticking with him? What do you think? No? That's a face you just made.
I have a feeling that he lost the team because they always played clean, disciplined. Granted, penalties were an issue, but they never had this kind of turnover problem. Special teams unit hasn't looked strong, and that's what Harbaugh is as a special teams coach. Yeah. They're just playing sloppy, and it was sloppy last year. They've lost games in the playoffs because of sloppy football. So I'm not exactly sure what's going on over there, but it doesn't feel like the team's listening or caring about what John Harbaugh or anyone on the coaching staff saying if you're going to play this terrible of a football game, like every time.
Yeah.
So, and I know
they've had some injuries too, though. They've had.
I know, but I've heard through people in Baltimore that are close to the team that there are issues going on in the front office right now. I just don't know amongst who.
Okay.
I don't know if it's a GM problem with the owner. I don't know if it's a head coach issue with the owner, but I know that Steve Bisciotti, the Ravens owner, does have some issues going on in the front office. And there's
you just the way you're talking and that look on your face, you're just defeated. I'm a little worried about you.
I am, because the Ravens used to be a great organization, and it was it was rated one of the top 5 organizations to play for until the last 3 years.
Well, here's the good news: pitchers and catchers report in 8 weeks, and then we'll have a real sport to watch again.
Yeah, I know. No? I'm very excited about that, but we hit that time of year, John, where now we're getting towards the end of football. And I know that everyone else loves, March Madness in March is fun, but I hate February, and I don't love March.
What are you talking about?
February is the worst month of the year.
You don't like March Madness?
No, I do. I said aside from March Madness, but it takes time to get there. That's mid-March.
Yeah. I like February.
Why? You go on vacation.
Well, there's soccer. NFL's over. College basketball is awesome. I like February. February's a nice month.
I'll get when weekends back in February, though. Kelly is not making me work until baseball starts on the weekends.
Kelly has a lot of power at WagerTalk, huh? I think I asked how many more times do I have to do this show?
Every time.
I think she's insisting I do it through the end of the season. She's tough. I think tomorrow night's game too. I'll tell you guys a little bit about that game because there is quite a bit of money on that game. That's Philadelphia at the Chargers. We actually right now will need Philly for a decent amount. There's a lot of money on the Chargers +3, +2.5. We're at +2 on the Chargers. Philadelphia just cannot seem to get it clicking on offense. I don't really know how to describe it. There's something wrong with them offensively. I don't know if it's Jalen Hurts or they're just not on the same page there, but their offensive line is too good, and Barkley is too good for the offense to be playing like this. I still think Philadelphia is going to figure it out, though. I got faith in that team.
The NFC
Looks
is
like
definitely significantly stronger than the AFC this year.
it's definitely more top heavy because at the top of the NFC you've got Philadelphia, you've got the Rams, who I still think are really good, and then you've got all those teams in the NFC North. And Seattle and San Francisco are pretty tough as well.
Anybody, since there's still some value, especially in the AFC, anybody that you guys would love to see get to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl? Like, which teams is the Superbook at the Westgate rooting for?
Well, we don't want Kansas City, so
that looks good.
Yeah, that looks pretty good. I mean, I think the future book looks pretty safe right now.
That's good.
So what I usually root for, to be honest with you, is a matchup that I think will drive business for us. And in my opinion, that matchup would be Buffalo against anybody. Buffalo. I think Buffalo being in the Super Bowl would be really good for business.
Yeah.
I think people are a little bit tired of Kansas City. I mean, it's enough already with them. They've been in, I think, 5 of the last 6 Super Bowls. I think people have had it with that, even though they're a great team. And I hope the Chiefs
Buffalo,
fans,
Philly, Buffalo, LA, those are great matchups for the book.
Yeah,
for
Buffalo,
sure.
LA would be good. I think if you asked me to pick one, I'd probably say Buffalo, Detroit. I think Buffalo.
You think Detroit would be good for you guys?
I think Detroit's a fun team. I think they're a fun team. I like their coach. I think he's funny. I'll say Buffalo and Detroit.
Of course you like that coach because he doesn't care. Dan Campbell doesn't care. He just wants you to run through a brick wall without thinking about it. And that's exactly what the energy is that we need. And one last question.
I think that's how Kelly is for you, Ariel. She just wants you to run through that brick wall.
She'll run through it for me, and then I step through it when she does it. That's how this friendship works. Okay. Someone in the chat asked what you like to refer to yourself as. Like, what do you call yourself?
I don't. I'm not sure what that.
Dog master.
I think I just call myself John. I think if
it's just John.
If anybody wants to come see me at the Westgate Superbook, just ask for John. I'd be happy to go chat with them. I think I consider myself very approachable. I don't know if you and Kelly are approachable. What do you think?
Apparently, when I've asked people why I'm still single, that's exactly the answer I get.
I could see that actually. You guys are not as approachable. People just come right up to me. So just ask for John. I wouldn't call myself anything else.
Nice, soft-spoken guy. John Murray over at the Westgate Superbook in Las Vegas. Make sure to head over there. It's the best sports book in town. John, thanks as always for coming on here on a Sunday, and I look forward to seeing you again for forever on Sundays.
I'll see you next week. I can't guarantee forever, but I'll see you in 7 days.
See you next week, John.
See ya.
Last but certainly not least, here from WagerTalk, we've got Jesse Schule joining the show. He's going to tell us everything he likes today. We'll hear what the chat likes today. How are you today, Jesse?
I'm doing not bad. I'm pretty excited about some underdogs in the NFL today.
Ooh, okay. Which one's your favorite?
All of them.
Everyone.
I've never actually done this, and I'm not recommending that anybody do this, but I know that people out there sometimes like to just bet every dog on the board. And I think if there was ever a day to do it, today would be a good day. I'm not doing it. I'm not recommending that anybody do it, but there's a lot of dogs that look interesting to me.
Ooh, okay. And then I know in the chat, they were very interested in some of these games that, let's say, okay, Buffalo. We were just talking about that Bills-Bengals game. Are the Bengals one of those dogs?
I don't have a strong feeling on that game. I can't trust Buffalo. There's a handful of games where, should Buffalo win this game? Should they win it running away? Sure. But if you watch them play lately, I mean, their defense can't be trusted. I'm not excited about laying a bunch of points with Buffalo until they prove, and they're banged up. So many defensive injuries too. And until they get healthy on defense, I'm not sure if I can trust them.
Okay. And then we've also got someone asking in the chat, will Sam Darnold have a great game against the Falcons?
Most likely he will. Most likely he will. But again, what is that? You could get a 7 with Atlanta. I know Atlanta's been just horrible lately, but it feels like a good buy low spot. Home dog, indoors. Yeah, I think the Falcons can stay within the number there.
Another game that John Murray was just talking about, he was saying that Raiders and Denver game, Denver has been laying a touchdown all week. He said that the book really needs the Raiders. That's their biggest one of the week. Are the Raiders
That's
live?
what I actually really like is the
Really?
Raiders.
Why?
I mean, I kind of think Denver's phony. Bo Nix hasn't played that well. Their defense is awesome, don't get me wrong, but they continue to win games. I mean, if you look at their last 10 games, I think they only have 2 wins by more than 4 points. They're beating a lot of teams by 3 points that are, you know, and it looked like the Jets and the Raiders on Thursday Night Football. But that Thursday Night Football game when they won 10-7 wasn't an isolated incident. That's just how they win games. So asking them to cover more than a touchdown, I think, is perhaps asking too much. And I think it's a real good buy low spot on the Raiders. As bad as they've been, Geno has not thrown as many interceptions of late. Ashton Genty's shown some signs that he's coming along. So I like the Raiders plus the points. And I also like a prop bet in this game. I like Ashton Genty over his receptions. That number sits at 4.5. He's gone over in 4 of his last 5 games. And the only game he went under was that Thursday night game against Denver. But that was an outdoor game. That was on the road. It was a 10-7 game, low scoring. If it's a higher scoring game indoors at home, I think Genty can get more than 4.5 receptions in this game.
What other props do you like? You know, I love that.
Bucky Irving for the Bucks. So Baker Mayfield's not listed on the injury report, but he's got a sprained AC joint that he was on the injury report last week, questionable with a sprained AC joint. And I'm not a doctor or anything, but I'm pretty sure sprained AC joints don't just get better after a week. And I'm wondering if it's going to prohibit him from pushing the ball downfield with a lot of deep passes. And will he be checking down to his running back more often? And Bucky Irving is just a phenomenal pass catcher out of the backfield anyways. It's just his second game back. He didn't go over this particular number for receptions last week, but I expect him to this week. I like his receptions, receiving yards, and rushing and receiving yards combo. I think Bucky Irving's due for a big game.
A game we haven't spoken about yet today, Rams and Cardinals. The Rams, they went from -7.5 to -8.5 this week. Looking at the live line, they're now -9.5, the Rams, on the road at Arizona, total 48.5. How live are the Cards, or is that not a dog you like?
It's not a matter of a dog that I like. It's a matter of a favorite that I don't like. It's a big number. It's difficult to make a case for the Cardinals, to be honest. But, any given Sunday, anything can happen. I don't feel like laying that many points with a road favorite here.
Yeah, I don't think I could do -9.5 either. Do you like the Texans this week?
I do like the Texans. I really like the Texans, actually, especially as money comes in on the Chiefs. I've seen a lot of people talk about Kansas City at home and all this stuff. Yeah, Kansas City at home by 3 points. They needed overtime to beat the Colts in their last home game. The Texans, I mean, I feel very strongly that if you just remove the logos from the helmets and you view these teams based on the numbers and take away those logos, take away the names, Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, they just don't match up very well against Houston, the best defense. And Gianni mentioned that he doesn't think Stroud moves the needle very much for Houston. I agree with that, but I'm not betting on Houston because I'd be happy to bet on Houston with Davis Mills. It's their defense. So I really do like Houston plus the points. I like a prop in this one too. I like Mahomes over 4.5 rushing attempts. I just think it's going to be difficult for him to move the ball in this game. He'll find himself under pressure and struggling to get first downs, and he's going to need to use his legs to keep the chains moving in this game, in my opinion. So I think Mahomes will be running the ball quite a bit here tonight.
Anything else stand out to you on the board?
Love the Saints, to be honest with you. I don't know if you saw the Saints in Miami last week, that crazy 2-point conversion. They could have tied the game with a 2-point conversion. It gets run back. Now they're in a deeper hole down by 4. Then they converted an onside kick. I think Tyler Shugg has been kind of flying under the radar, how well he's been playing, replacing Spencer Rattler.
He's gone over his passing yard prop in 3 straight weeks.
Yeah, I mean, he's been significantly better. I mean, I'm not trying to give him MVP award or anything, just better than Spencer Rattler. But what's important to realize is the Saints actually do have a good defense, like far better than the Bucs defense. So can that keep them in this game, in a rivalry game? I think it can. I like the Saints to cover the number here.
Jesse Schule, I know that you do have a promo going on right now where if people use Jesse 50, it will take 50% off. Explain what package people can expect if they use this promo code to get 50% off.
Well, just one package on the board today, a 5-game all access. I got college basketball, I got NHL, and I got 3 NFL props. You can look forward to a lot of football props, sides, totals, college basketball, NHL, NBA. I'm all over the place. Soccer as well. Try to have 2 or 3 plays a day.
Jesse Schule, find him at Jesse Schule on social media. Make sure to get that package. Thank you so much, Jesse. Good luck today.
Thank you.
I've got some props to give out. I'll go down the board for a bunch of games, starting with 1 p.m. Eastern, Dolphins at Jets. Jets tight end Mason Taylor over his 12.5-yard longest reception. He's going up against bottom 10 defenses against tight ends. He's cashed this over in 4 of 5 matchups. The Panthers game was the only one with Tyrod, and he ended up with 3 catches for 31 yards, a long of 13. With Taylor averaging 19 receiving yards per game, so that's why I'd look at longest reception instead of going over on the receiving yards. So over longest reception, the tight end Mason Taylor. Tyler Shaw, as we talked about, over 213.5 passing yards. These teams already played once this year, and Shaw didn't go over this. However, he's gone over in 3 straight games his passing yard prop. He's thrown for at least 239 passing yards in 3 straight weeks. The Bucs secondary's been struggling, allowing 4 straight quarterbacks to catch their over passing yards. 67% of quarterbacks went over their passing yard prop this year against Tampa. They've allowed the 3rd most passing yards per game. With Alvin Kamara, the running back for the Saints, out, Tyler Shaw is going to have to throw the ball, so we're going to go over his passing yards this week. Commanders and Vikings, Aaron Jones go over his 18.5 receiving yards or his 10.5-yard longest reception. In the 2 games he faced teams bottom 10 against pass-catching backs. He went over in both against Seattle and Baltimore. The Commanders have allowed the 5th most receiving yards per game to running backs at 39 a game. 5 of the last 6 running backs to face Washington went over their receiving yards prop. So go over there on Aaron Jones, who's the leading receiver for the running backs. I like Trevor Lawrence over his pass attempts, 31.5. He's averaging 36 in games against teams bottom 10 against the pass, going over in 3 of 4. 6 home games this year, 34 pass attempts average. The Colts, they've allowed the most pass attempts per game, the most in the league at 38. 9 of the last 10 quarterbacks to face the Colts went over their pass attempt prop. You could also look to Brenton Strange, the Jags tight end, over his receiving yards, 43.5. It's gone up from 39.5 since Wednesday. In 3 games this year against defenses bottom 10 against tight ends, Strange has had 93, 59, and 17 yards. He's also gone over in 2 of 3 home games this year. Colts have allowed the 2nd most receiving yards per game to tight ends, with 70% of tight ends going over their receiving yard prop against Indy. This one's a big one that people haven't realized. Jonathan Taylor, his rushing yard splits are very drastic. He's averaging 129 rushing yards a game at home and just 75 on the road. His rushing yard prop has dropped from 94.5 to 93.5, and he's up against the Jags defense that's actually allowed the least rushing yards per game to running backs this year. 64% of backs have gone under against Jacksonville, their rushing yard prop. These two face each other again in a couple of weeks at Indy. So if you know Jonathan Taylor's running the football better at home, then your game plan today is not to run Jonathan Taylor as much. But I just think those home road splits are very drastic. So even if you don't want to bet the under on Taylor, I would stay away in this game. And if it hits, sorry, but those rushing yard splits to be averaging 129 at home and 74 at home on the road, it's crazy. So I would stay away from Jonathan Taylor today or take the under. I've got a lot more at thepropqueen.com. You can check out all the Prop Queen edges of the day every day straight to your inbox at thepropqueen.com for a premium subscription. It's very useful, I would say, and I use props.cash a lot. A very useful tool as well. So make sure to go subscribe today at thepropqueen.com to the newsletter, and you can get everything to your inbox. I've got a bunch of props for today, pretty much almost every single game on the board of at least one prop. So thanks guys for tuning in. I hope that between Yanni, John Murray, and Jesse, that we gave you guys some winners. Good luck to all your bets. And yes, I am a little worried about the Josh Allen passing yards with weather in Buffalo because his passing yard prop has dropped. So if I lose on Josh Allen passing yards for a second straight week, I'm never going to be betting it again. It's a really good matchup for him going up against the defense that's one of the worst against the pass. Trey Hendrickson is out again with that groin injury. So it should be a really good game for Josh Allen, except if weather in Buffalo has an implication on that, which has shown it dropped from 229.5 to 227.5 as passing yard prop today. So we will see how that pans out. But I already bet the over on Wednesday. So F me. Anyway, good luck to all your bets today. We will see you next week, next Sunday here at 11 a.m. Eastern time, as always, on WagerTalk's Last Call.